Hi and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mathilde, I'm a French knitter, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Now in today's video, I thought it would be fun to share with you some knits that I've been really inspired by that I wish I had the time to knit. Unfortunately, we have to pick and choose which knits we can make in a year, in a lifetime, so I'm never going to be able to go and knit every single knit that's inspiring to me, but I thought I could share, and maybe, you know, maybe from this list next year I can pick up a few that I want to knit, and maybe I can inspire you to knit some of them, or maybe you've already knitted them and you can tell us down below what you thought of the pattern, what you're thinking of the fit, etc. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to share knits that I've been inspired by. That means recently released knits, but also knits that are still in testing but I've seen on Instagram, and also just less recent knits. So I hope that's okay. I'm not going to go too in details about each pattern because there are quite a few that I want to share, and that's just not the fun part for me for filming these videos, so I hope you don't mind. But I will link every single one of them down below so that you can go check them out. And if they're not released yet, I will link the designer's Ravelry page or Instagram page so that you can check them out and, you know, be aware that it's gonna come out sometime soon. And the second part of this video, I'm going to share some summer yarns that I've not tried yet, but that I would really love to try. I think this is a good way for me to, first of all, share some yarns that maybe you've not heard of or used yet, but also get feedback from you guys if you have used this before, and yeah, you can let me know your thoughts on them. And before we get into it, let me just share what I'm wearing, which is a test knit that I did last year for Ozetta. This is the clay tee, which is a beautiful textured garment tee. I knitted it in 2 strands of Sunday by Sandnes Garn held together, so it's quite a heavyweight garment. It's meant to be knit, I think, with like a fingering weight merino wool and a fingering weight like silk cotton blend. So I think she knitted it in knitting 40 pure silk and 1 strand of merino, I think. So the drape that I have is a little bit more stiff, I suppose, than what it should be, but I really love the end result and I really love the texture. Hopefully you can see it even though it's navy. Really love the color. Yeah, it's one of my favorite summer knits of last year, so I'm really happy about it, and honestly I wouldn't mind even doing a second one in the recommended yarn, but I think it's still a nice piece. But now let's just get into the summer knits. Now I'm gonna do things a little bit differently than I've been doing in these types of videos in the past. I'm gonna share my screen, so I'm gonna be looking at my laptop for this, and I'm gonna talk to you through the patterns as I see them now. I've kind of categorized them by theme, let's say, so maybe we'll look at them all together, I'm not sure. As always for this types of video, I'm using the app Millinut, which is not a paid sponsorship. I just love this app. I use it quite a lot. It is a free app, but you only have a certain amount of images that you can put into the free app or into the free version, and if you want to put more than, I think it's 100 images, you have to pay. So I've started to pay now, but you can use it pretty basically, and then you just delete the boards as you don't need them, and that way you can still use the free version. Okay, so the first theme of this video is stripes and texture. So all of these patterns I've been obsessed with, and I think they look gorgeous. Obviously some of them are sweaters, so depending on where you live you may not be able to wear them, but I feel like 2 of them could fit in like using some summery yarn, and maybe that could help fit more for this season. But for me, because of where I live, it can be quite cold in the mornings, in the evenings, so I can get away with wearing a sweater, and so that's why they're inspiring to me. All of them feature stripes, as I said, but also some kind of texture, be it just pearls for texture or lace pattern, which maybe I should have put that like this actually. That makes more sense. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna also have to look at my phone to remember the name of some of those. Okay, so the first one is a pattern by Petite Knit, so I'm sure you've heard of it. But to be fair, I've not seen that many people knitting it, so I feel like it's a bit of a not so popular pattern, but I really love that mix of the stripes and the texture, or the lace I should say. I think it looks absolutely stunning. Now, I think this is a raglan design, and she has, yeah, kind of a row of lace and then a row of another color. And it just speaks to me. It's like so effortless, but also it makes it just that tiny bit more elevated, but then the fit I find is quite casual. I don't know, there's just something about it that I really like. I think she's also done like a pearl row around the neckline, which I don't usually like, but for this one I think looks quite good. I don't remember the yarn that she used for this, so I don't know if it's merino or something else, but I think it's gorgeous. So I'm hoping to get around to knitting it sometime. But also it's a raglan. I'm not a fan of raglan on me. I think it's mainly because of my bust size. I don't think that fits very well, but I don't know. I haven't knitted a raglan t-shirt yet, so maybe that would work. Then we've got two patterns here by Other Loops. I think the first one is called the Lace Loop Sweater. Again, you've got that kind of stripes and then lace, but what I really like about this is those tiny one row stripes in between the lace. I really like that definition that it gives. I love this kind of slouchy look that it's got. It really screams summer to me on a beach, even though I guess it could be quite warm. I'm not sure again what the yarn she used. Maybe I should check that. Okay, let me check that for the Ida. I didn't even say this pattern's name. This is the Ida or Ida tee by Petite Knit, and so the yarn that she used is, okay, Cashmere Classic by Cardiff. So yeah, she mostly recommends knitting it in cashmere. Now, I find cashmere can be quite good for summer, but it's also can get pretty warm. Like, I think cashmere kind of tends to behave according to your body temperature. So I guess if you're kind of hot, it's gonna be warm. So I wouldn't necessarily use that yarn. I think I would try to find a sport weight or even maybe DK weight yarn, like light DK weight yarn that could work for this. And maybe that's why people have not made that pattern so much, is because of the yarn choice. The lace loop, I think it's definitely got mohair. I can see some halo. So she recommends one strand of Zvini or Alpaca 2 by Isier and one strand of Soft Fine by Isier, which I find is quite warm. Is that DK then? No, it's worsted. Well, it's kind of DK. It's fingering place lace. Yeah, I would opt, I think, for like a fingering weight held with the lace weight silk, or like one of those two being silk and the other one being maybe alpaca or merino or wool, but I wouldn't do a full-on wool sweater for summer, and I wouldn't use mohair, I don't think, even though I love mohair and I do love the halo that it gives. So maybe Alpaca 1 by Isier, which is a lace weight. Maybe that could work with like a merino or a silk cotton blend. But yeah, I really love that. And then you've got one that's a bit less, I think it's got a bit less positive ease, and that is the Structured Loop Sweater, also by Other Loops. This one, it doesn't have any lace, I don't think, unless these are kind of lace. I think these are pearls though, not sure. But yeah, I really, again, love that combination of the stripes and the texture. But then I think it's also got another color, right? I think this is a 3-color kind of stripes. And I don't know, there's just something about this that really speaks to me. Again, I think this is an Aran weight sweater, so quite warm for the summer. So she recommends using soft woolen angora from Onling, held with a silk mohair, I think. It's a bit confusing how she wrote this, but I think that's what she recommends. Or maybe just one strand of soft woolen Angora. I've never used that yarn, although I'm very curious about it because I've heard about it a few times. Yeah, okay, so it's just one strand of that, and this is a worsted weight yarn, but it is 75% wool, 25% Angora. Now, I think Angora is quite warm, so that would make for a very warm sweater. So this is definitely for like that post-swim vibe, but then I don't really know how much wear you would get out of it. But I feel like the stripes just give summer, right? Another one that's quite beautiful, again, I feel like the texture in this one is a little bit more subtle, but you can kind of see that the stripes are kind of 3D, and I feel like this is a bit more of an elevated garment. It doesn't scream as much of a summer beach vibe. It's more like you're going out to dinner on a summer evening, you're on the terrace of a cafe or something, and there's just a little bit of wind, just a little bit of chill, and I like that. Now, I think this is the Bridget sweater by Kolibri by Johanna, and this is a lace plus sport, so it's kind of a DK weight, and she recommends using silk hair by Lana Grossa held with Eco Puno by Lana Grossa. Now, I've never heard of those yarns, never tried them, so I'm not sure what the content of these yarns is. The silk hair is a lace weight, and it's 70% mohair, 30% silk. The Eco Puno is 72% cotton, 17% merino, 11% alpaca. So I feel like that would be a bit more appropriate for this type of weather. I also really love the shaping of the sleeves. I love the twisted rib. I think that fits really well. And yeah, I feel like the 2x other loops kind of scream more laid back, whereas the Bridget sweater feels a little bit more elevated, and I like that she paired it, at least, or she styled it for the pictures, with jeans. And then there's a showstopper, which is another pattern by Kolibri by Johanna. I mean, how stunning is this? Now, I don't think I would actually knit this for two reasons. One, that would take forever. And two, I just don't know that I could pull off wearing this, but it's absolutely stunning. And also, I'm not usually a fan of that kind of feather and fan, I think it's called, lace pattern, but I had to show it to you because I love a matching set, and I think this is just stunning. So this is the jean top and jean skirt, or jean top, jean skirt. I would say jean because I'm French. This is knitted in Sunny Linen by Sandnes Garn, which I've never heard of either. And that is a 50% linen / flax, 27% alpaca, 18% cotton, 5% merino yarn. So I don't know how this would wear, but it does kind of sound a little bit sturdy, which I think is good for this type of pattern. And I love the feather and fan look with the stripes. Like, I think there was another pattern by Maria Sveden, which I shared in another video last year, I think. I'm not sure I remember the name, but I will try to put it on the screen now. And that was also a feather and fan striped look, but she had put a lot of different colors in that, whereas I feel like this kind of black and white stripes, or maybe it's a bit navy, but I think it's black. Just, to me, it's a bit more wearable, I would say. But obviously you could go all out and make it with like leftover yarns, and maybe that would be stunning in like lots of different colors. So those are our like kind of stripes with texture. Now I do want to share with you some other stripes pattern. Again, I'm obsessed with stripes, and I think they fit really well for summer, but they don't necessarily have texture. Okay, so these are the 3 stripes pattern that I can't stop thinking about. Actually, now I've just remembered there's another one. Okay, so these are the 4 stripes pattern that have no texture really, that I'm obsessed with. Although I think maybe this one has texture. Does it? No, I don't think so. Okay, 2 of them are quite like old patterns, or like they were released a while ago. So let's talk about the Florence Miller one. This is the Tombo tee by Florence Miller, or handmade by Florence. I think this is a saddle shoulder striped tee, and I think the construction is really interesting. I've only done one saddle shoulder pattern, that was a sweater, so I would be really interested to try it out on a tee to see the fit. I also just love exactly the amount of rows that you have per stripes. It just looks like it fits really well, and that it's a really good, kind of innovative in a way, stripe pattern, because I'm going to talk about another one that feels a little bit more, I don't want to say basic, but one that you can find in the store easily, whereas I feel like this one, because of the construction, it's a little bit more involved or elevated. The yarn that she used for this, I think she used a yarn by Pasquale called Safira. I'm not sure the content of that yarn is, but I feel like a regular fingering weight yarn could probably work for this pattern. Then let's move on to this one by Kotopakika, which is the Sailor Swift top. Now I have this pattern in my library, so hopefully I'll get around to knitting it one day, but I really love the shaping of the tank top. I again love the stripes. I feel like this could be a very versatile top, because whereas I feel like the Tombo tee, if you were to knit this in just one color, you would kind of lose the effect that this tee gives because of the stripes around the shoulder. And how she kind of completed that, made that look really neat. I feel like with the Sailor Swift top, you could get kind of two knits out of one pattern. You could knit one in a stripe and one plain, and that would still look really good. I've heard people say that the fit is really good on this one. I would be slightly worried that this edge would be kind of coming in too much, so that it would show the straps of my bra a little bit, because I think you can kind of see her bra straps here. So that's the one thing that I'm like about. And she used a 100% cotton yarn. She used Mandarin Petite by Sandnes Garn, which I've never used before again, and this is a fingering weight yarn. Now let's move on to two patterns by the Knit Purl girl. One of them is a fairly recently released pattern, the one on the left, and this one is currently in testing. And how stunning is this? Absolutely love it, but let's talk about this one first. So this is the Mari sweater, but I think in that pattern there's also this version of a tee. Now it's a little bit tricky to see on this picture, but you've actually got buttons on this side, and that's kind of what I meant when I was talking about a more basic sweater. Now I'm not saying this pattern is basic, I'm just saying it's something that you can find in the store, because most or some stripes pattern have that kind of button detail on at least one of the shoulder, if not both. That feels a little bit more seen, like easily seen. But I do love the shaping of this. I'm not sure about the neckline. I feel like it's quite a low scoop neck that I'm not in love with, but otherwise I really like it. Again, I love this kind of thin stripe details, and I think that would fit really well. And I do love that kind of button placket detail. And as for the Tombo tee, you can see that it matches quite well with the stripes on the body, so, or like the front edges. So that's really stunning. So I think for some of this pattern, because it's also a sweater pattern, which is also stunning, by the way, so you should check it out. I think she used different yarns, so you've got lots of choices of yarns, of summer yarns to try, one of which is the palette by Easier, held with one strand of 301 by Easier. So it's really, I think the palette is cotton, and the 301 is a mix of lyocell and cotton and something else, not sure. So I think, yeah, this is a good summer tee for sure. And then I'm obsessed with this one. This one is in testing currently, so it's not out yet, but be on the lookout for it, because I think this shaping is stunning. This is the Mara blouse, and I don't remember, I'm sure she's posted a few details on this on her Instagram, but I don't remember out of the top of my head. But I think this is definitely kind of a summery yarn combination that she used. I think she's kind of obsessed with 301 by Easier, so this may be used in this one as well. And it's got quite a high kind of boat neck line, and I would say it's a kind of contiguous shoulder construction. Like you can see on the underarm there are some increases, but then this is a little bit different. I never remember what that's called. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. And then you've got a really gorgeous I-cord detail, and it's kind of curling a little bit, which I really love. And this is stunning. And I feel like you could dress this up or down depending on where you're going, what you're doing that summer. So I really, really love that. So these are the stripes pattern. Let's move on to other kind of summer knits, because if you don't love stripes, you have not probably watched until this point. Okay, so these are 3 more kind of timeless pieces that I think would fit really well in a summer wardrobe, but you could also easily wear them in the spring, in the autumn, and even underneath some sweaters or cardigans. Maybe not the first one, but the first one is so stunning. It's been on my mind forever. I had to share it, but I'm sure you've heard of it. This is the Amy top by Mochi Knits. Let me get the details on this. Okay, so the Amy top was released last year and it is knitted in Laguna Blanca by Texandes, which is an Argentinian yarn brand. So definitely I don't think available in Europe, or I don't know where that would be, but this is a mix of 60% merino wool, 25% viscose, 15% linen. I think this is a fingering weight yarn. Oh, it's a DK weight yarn. Okay, I did not expect that. And I just love the details on this. I love the v-neck, but then you've got kind of that polo neckline color. I love the detail of the armhole edges, and I think it fits really, really beautifully. Again, I feel like you could easily wear this with a summer skirt, with a pair of shorts, with kind of smart pants like she's wearing on the sample pictures. I don't quite see it in a color, but then I've not checked Ravelry in ages for this pattern, so I'm not sure if there are other people that have knitted it in a color, but I just think the white makes it even more timeless. I really love it. Then this top one I've only discovered recently, but I thought I would share it because I really love the texture that it's got. It reminds me of the mixed rib cami, which was really popular last year for very good reason. I knitted it myself and I love it. But I do love that this is a little bit more of a different fit. I love that kind of square neck and then thicker straps. I feel like it would be very easy to wear. I would make this a little bit longer than she has it. It's quite cropped. But yeah, I really think this is quite nice. And she knitted it in Drops Saffron, which is 100% cotton, and it's a sport weight yarn apparently. So I feel like that would be great for summer. And again, a good layering piece. I feel like with the mixed rib cami, the one thing that makes it a bit less wearable for me is the high neckline, because if I wear, for example, a v-neck cardigan on top of it, I don't always love that juxtaposition, whereas because this is a bit more of a lower neckline, it would be easier to wear with other sweater or cardigans. Sweaters always, but with v-neck cardigans especially. And I feel like this one could be really cute in some colors. And then down here is one that I've thought about knitting, and I think is gonna be on my needles. I was gonna say sometime soon, but I don't think I'll get around to it this year, but definitely next year. And this is the Feels Right tee by Lily Kate Makes. Now, I just love that shaping. It's a perfect baby tee. Now, I'm not sure why, but this is a bit of a blurry picture, but hopefully you can kind of get the vibe. And I'll link the pattern down below so that you can check out more pictures. This is knitted in a fingering white yarn. She used yarns that I have no idea what they are. Yeah, she used like hand-dyed sock yarn, but I feel like with the simple merino wool or silk blend, maybe that would work well. And yeah, I love this kind of cap sleeves, I think they're called. Again, very timeless, very basic, but you need those kind of knits in your wardrobe, or at least I do. I don't know about you, but I do. So those are kind of the more basic timeless pieces. And then one last category, which I'm sure you could guess what it is. So the next category is obviously Pointelle. Pointelle is very famous at the moment. There's a lot of popular sweater and cardigan versions of it, but I thought I would share with you some other that I'm obsessed with. I think two of them are kind of newly released. One is a little bit older, but then it's got a new cardigan version, which is also very stunning. And the last two are in testing currently, so it should come out fairly soon. Now the first one is quite popular. This is the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers. I think this one is a little bit less of a summery piece, unless you made it out of a cotton blend yarn, but it does feel a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more stiff, a little bit more boxy, but I just love the look. It feels a little bit less delicate than some of the other Pointelle on this board, because you've got less motifs throughout the body. And then I also really love that detail of the ribbing, or kind of ribbing. I think that's stunning. Yeah, I think this is a gorgeous piece. But let's talk about less famous ones, I think. This one, let me get my thingy because I do not remember the name of that. And as I said, there's a newly released Vilma cardigan. So if you're not into those kind of vest type top, maybe veer more into the cardigan version. This one I stumbled upon recently. This is the Sencha vest by Trust the Mojo. I think it was released earlier this year, and this uses a DK weight yarn, and she used actually Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn, which I feel like is definitely not summer appropriate, so I would veer for another type of DK weight yarn for sure. But then again, these kind of vest types pattern are maybe more suited to like autumn, but I do love that mix of the Pointelle, and then you've got some kind of moss stitch or double moss stitch, which I have never seen that kind of combination before, and I love that the texture that it gives to the pattern. So these two are similar, but I feel like they give off different vibes. But let's move on to more summery patterns. This is the Petite Pointelle top by Jessie Made Designs, and this uses a sport weight yarn. She used the Wandering Flock cotton lino, which I'm guessing has cotton and linen in it. 35% cotton, 30% bombyx, don't know what that is, 20% linen flax, and 15% alpaca. So I feel like it would be kind of a drapey, loose fabric. And again, I really like that detail of the lace between the Pointelle motif. I love that kind of wavy edge at the bottom. Not sure how that's done. I don't know if that's in knitting or in crochet. Hopefully still in knitting, because I don't know how to crochet. And I love that it's kind of a low scooped neck, whereas another pattern that I'm going to talk about is more of a V-neck, this one. And so I like that you can have kind of similar ideas, but they're still quite different. So maybe let's move on to this one first. This one is in testing at the moment. This is the Marielle top by Maya Sverden from the very popular Marielle series. So she's got a blouse and a cardigan, and they're stunning. This one, surprisingly enough, does only feature those kind of flower Pointelle motif. It doesn't have those kind of vertical lines, but I do love the look that it gives. And then she's also got a version with kind of a peplum bottom, which I don't think I would knit for myself, but I'm sure some people like that look. And then it's got a picot edge at the bottom as well. I do love the lace detail around the triangles at the top, and then you've got a thicker stripe than an I-cord, which I like for a summer top. So again, because this is this knit, I don't have info on the yarn, but I'm fairly certain she used a knitting for olive fingering weight yarn, so either merino, cotton merino, pure silk, not sure I remember which one. And then we've got another Pointelle look, which I stumbled upon really recently. This is also in testing. This is the Rosa top. I'm not sure I remember the designer's name. Let me grab the picture. On Instagram, it's home.viv, and this is just a screenshot from one of her reels, because she doesn't really have pictures on her feed, so apologies for how blurry it is and you can't really see how it looks, but I again, I'll link her Instagram down below so you can go check out the videos on that pattern. But I love it. Reminds me again of the mixed rib cami, but then with lace detailing, because you've got kind of that textured detailing along with the lace, and then it's got kind of cap sleeves. Again, reminds me of the Feels Right tee by Lady Cat Mates, which we talked about just before. And I just really love the shaping of this. And I don't know, they all look, well, not all, these two not so much, but these three, they give off a similar vibe, but they're all quite different. So I don't know what I would pick to choose. I would probably knit this one. I think that would fit more into my wardrobe, although I do love the look of that one too. I love these two, but I don't know realistically how much I would wear them, so that's why I wouldn't maybe necessarily knit them, but I still think about them, so I'm sharing them with you. Okay, so these are all of the summer patterns that I'm obsessed with. Let me know if you've got some to share as well, or if you've knit some of them, if you're excited to knit some of them. I would love to hear it, but let's move on to the summer yarns that I would love to try. For this part of the video, I'm going to be sharing my screen on the internet. We're going to be browsing together. The first summer yarns that I would absolutely love to try, even though it's a little bit expensive, is the Biche Le Petit organic cotton. I think the color range on this is really stunning. I really love the look of these. Obviously some of them more than others. Like, I love that kind of goldish green tint. I love the dark blue. It kind of reminds me of a lavender blue. I mean, this one is called lavender, so maybe more likely this one. And yeah, I mean, it's got a really good range of color. And then let's take a look at the composition, which is going to be written in French, so apologies. I can maybe switch to English, yeah. So it's 100% organic cotton spun and dyed in Italy, and it's got 300 meters for 100 grams. So actually you're paying 16 euros, but really for 15 grams you're paying 8 euros. So it's not that much compared to others. Okay. And yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about 100% organic cotton, or like about 100% cotton yarn. I've not tried that out yet. So let me know if you tried that out. I'm not sure if there are others in the listing that I've got, but we'll see. But yeah, I find that I'm more drawn to trying out Biche yarn lately, so we'll see. Next up, these are quite famous, but I've not tried them out yet, so I would really like to in the future, and that is the Tin Linne and the Linne yarns by Sandnes Garn. Now, the Tin Linne, they're the same composition, I think, yeah. They are 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So I kind of like that it's a blend of not just 100% cotton, because as I said, I don't know how I feel about that. This is the DK weight version, and this Tin Linne is the finger weight version. And again, it's got a really good color range. Like, I'm really drawn to this kind of matcha green. I'm really drawn to this burgundy, even though it doesn't maybe scream summer. I love that color. I love navy and that kind of those kind of blues. I love the pinks, but they're not really for me, so I wouldn't buy that. And then obviously those kind of linen-y cream color, they're always great. I find that this one looks a bit too bright of a white. But yeah, I think you've got mostly the same color range, so yeah. I've heard good thing about these yarns before, so I would really like to try them out. Maybe in like a tee or a long sleeved summer top. I think that would work quite well. Now, another yarn that I've never tried before is the Gepard Garn Wild and Soft. Now, I don't think this is necessarily completely a summer yarn, but it does have some wild tussar silk, so it's 40% of that and 60% merino wool, so it does feel quite lightweight to me. I think I've seen people use them before use it before for summer tops or tees, and I mean, there's a good combination of color. I would say they range more towards autumn color than spring colors, but like, that's kind of my palette, so I'm not mad about it. But yeah, you've got a good range of color either way, and I would really like to try this out. This is a finger weight yarn. I would like to try it out either on its own or held double for a DK weight yarn. Next up, let's take a look at easier yarns. Now, this one I've never heard of, so I think it's quite recent. This is the mulberry silk, so it's 100% mulberry silk. It's 840 meters per 100 grams, so I think this is a lace weight yarn, and it's got a bit of a sheen to it. Hopefully you can see. So I don't know how dissimilar this is to 301 by Ozetta, which I've used before. I didn't really like, but then I didn't use it for a summer knit, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have to give it a go again. But there's not that many colors, but I love the navy, I love the bordeaux, I really like the nougat as well, and the khaki. So it's got, you know, some colors, not a lot, and they suggest pairing it with Palette by Ozetta, which I've talked about a little bit before, but the colors don't really go. Like, this is the nougat, but you can see that this one is much brighter, so I'm not sure how they would pair together, but I would be really curious to try this out. Like, you can see this kind of ply is quite, how do they say that? This is like a ribbon spun yarn, so I would be really curious to try it out. I think Petite Knit and Ozetta have used it before in patterns, and this is 100% cotton, 160 meters per 50 grams. So I don't know if I would use it paired with the mulberry silk, but I would like to try it out either way. But again, this is 100% cotton, so we're going into the same issue as the Le Petit organic cotton. And finally, I would like to try some of the summer yarns by Dera Natura. The first one is Alice, which is linen, a blend of linen and merino. And this is a light fingering weight yarn. Now, I'm not obsessed with the color range on this one. I feel like the Dera Natura yarns are really beautiful, but I don't always love the colors on their range. And you can see that it's got kind of a marling effect, which I'm not against. I think that looks quite pretty, but yeah, it would be a bit more tricky for me to find a color that I would wear, I think. Then they've also got Antigone, which is linen, some kind of linen, and this is much thinner. I think this is 100 grams. This is just 260 meters per 100 grams, so I would say this is a lace weight probably, but that lace definition is absolutely amazing. I really love that, and the colors I find they're a bit better, but there's again that kind of sheen to it that I'm not obsessed with. The same for the mulberry silk. I had one summer yarn that was hand dyed that was sheen like that, and I don't love that look, so that maybe wouldn't be the first one I would try, but I would be curious to anyways. And finally, they also have the Candide base, which is a mix of cotton and merino. It's a sport weight yarn, so for some of those patterns that I mentioned, I think that would be a good one to try out. And this is 185 meters for 50 grams. But the color range on this is quite limited, but it's got good pastel colors. Like I feel like for the spring types, the people who have the spring coloring, don't remember what that's called, I think that would fit quite well. So yeah, that definition is quite stunning. So I hope you found this quite amusing to do along with me. Let me know what you thought of this type of video and how it was constructed. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!